Rise up, the Dukes are back, and now it's time to rise up. The crew is back, and now it's time to rise up. The Dukes are back, and now it's time to rise up. Rise up, rise up. The Dukes are back, and now it's time to rise up. The crew is back, and now it's time to rise up. The Dukes are back, and now it's time to rise up. Rise up.
And we're back to the D's on Fire podcast. A much happier episode than we've had in previous weeks. Although, I mean, they've just keep the good times rolling, really, for the guys. And the girls bounce back after a few tough games to have a lights-out shooting night tonight against the Bonnies, following up the guys' not-so-great shooting night, but still win against the Bonnies earlier last week. I don't know how to describe the weekend with our Wednesday podcasts that come out on Fridays and Saturdays.
I think last week still works.
Yeah.
Even though it's not exactly a week.
All
like
right.
if it's before Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I do want to pat myself on the back on this one. I said it was going to be a war. Man, was that a war.
Yeah, it was a dogfight, no doubt.
Over 30 team fouls called, and I feel like the refs didn't call nearly as much as they could have in that game with how physical.
Yeah, I think they let the boys play, as they say.
Yeah, I honestly don't think they were really ready for how physical that matchup was going to be. The little dust up towards the start of the game, really.
Yeah,
man, it truly was. Usually it's just the fans that get fired up, but the players in this one, like without much history between the actual lineups, there was still a lot of animosity there, and I love it.
I think both teams knew it was a really big game.
Yeah,
going into it, it was like one of those swing games. And it felt like a tournament type game.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw the score of the Bonnies game tonight against Fordham, but we might have broken St. Bonaventure after that near buzzer beater, because they got blown out. Just not quite as bad as St. Joe's did tonight, but it was up there. So, yeah, I mean, we've been playing our best basketball of the season as the season goes on. So I can't ask for much more. Our offense has been moving the ball well. Our defense has finally reached the potential that we saw early on in this season, where if they just kept their focus on throughout and not just when they were covering a guy, they could be special. And yeah, they're definitely special at this point.
Yeah, we don't normally do this, but we started recording and the Duquesne St. Joe's game is still going on in the background. We're both not really paying attention to it.
Nope,
so that's how comfortable what a season this has been.
Yeah.
To get to that point.
The only downside to this game was Dixon's injury scare, which, I mean, he didn't get in the second half. We didn't need him to, so we'll see how that progresses. But he looked so good in the first half. And I told Anakin as we were eating dinner, Alec is going to be so happy this podcast. And then making an incredible play, a steal going all the way to take an and one, and then lands a little funky, maybe hyperextended his knee. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I won't speculate that, but hopefully he's okay, because Dambrot seems to really like the Reese, Dixon, Rotroff trio at the 5 as a rotation lately. And it's been working really well, and Dixon's been playing really well. So, yeah, I hope the best.
And the score just went final, according to ESPN. Duquesne 76, St. Joe's 62. So we let them back in with our bench players emptying the bench at the end, but just a dominant performance all the way through, I thought. Yeah, and I liked Rotroff starting the second half. I know it was because Reese had foul trouble, but
yeah,
Rotroff really does bring that stability when it comes to rebounding. And he may not bring much when it comes to the down low offensive game, but if you pair him with RJ Gunn, we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it a bunch. He's a good finisher for like he may not have the fancy post moves, but finishing is important. Before Bari went out with his medical condition, he was struggling finishing the ball in the minutes that he did play. So it's not easy to just finish near the rim with contested shots. So Rochoff does have that plus on the offense when he does get a addition drive and he's on the receiving end of that. He can definitely finish those plays.
Yeah. I do kind of want to give a hot take here on the A10 conference, how the season's going to wrap up. I
Uh-oh.
think I think the Duquesne Fordham game is going to be played for third place. I think St. Louis is going to lose to us and lose to VCU, and they're going to drop from the top four.
That's spicy.
That so I mean they were a conference favorite basically the entirety of the season up until I think they lost to LaSalle earlier this week, and they're playing Davidson tonight. So I don't know how that game's going to go. I expect St. Louis to win that one, but I think we're going to beat them on Saturday based off how we've been playing and how locked in we'll be, and the fact that it's at our place. Um, all of that leads. Oh, is it away? Dang
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I was gonna say that was the only thing I was gonna go back on you on because these. So we said before this stretch started, um, George Washington, George or no, excuse me, the
George.
George Mason, St. Bonnie's, St. Joe's all at home. This was a big 3-game stretch. We went 3-0. Gives our We're giving ourselves a chance. Going away to St. Louis isn't going to be easy. Um, and that's kind of when the defense has picked up. It's really been this home stance, a little bit to it with George Washington away. But that would be my only concern. But I mean, we can't go into it feeling any better, I don't think. I mean, we took care of business at home. They were all what, 20-point wins? Pretty or
Except for the Bonnies game.
obviously, yeah, that was very dumb. I'm riding real high, just adding
After the same
an 18 point win on a 2-point win.
Yeah. And that just to touch on that 2-point win, ball was clearly in his fingers still. I said it live. Admittedly, the rest of the people I was watching with did not think that it was in his fingers still when it was live. But the replay showed it was clearly on his fingers still.
I too thought live he got it off, and then after replay he clearly still had it in his hand. Coincidentally enough, I watched the Sixers game later that evening. They played the Brooklyn Nets, and it ended in the same fashion. Spencer Dinwiddie
just
hit
from much further away.
A logo shot 3, and I thought it was good live. And then you look at the replay, that would have forced it to OT as well.
Well, that was they only had like 0.8 seconds on the inbound there to get a shot.
Yeah, they had less than a second. Yep. Yeah. So that made a difference. But yeah, what a day.
Yeah, and on that play, I do want to mention Rotroff almost got the rebound there that would have ended all the drama, and he just couldn't get a hold on it. And Dan Brott mentioned that in the post-game presser, where we are a bunch of ugly ducklings with how we play, but we'll get the job done, and that's all that matters. So,
yeah, this was really ugly. I mean, if you look at the stats, and this is a good win. I don't think really Duquesne has had a win like this. So struggling so much offensively. Normally, if we struggle this much offensively, we lose. They shot 37% from the field as a team, 21% from 3, 56% from the line, but only had one less field goal made compared to the Bonnie. So we literally had 13 more field goal attempts than them.
I think
that was all the turnovers. So it's just, we were just scoring at will off of turnovers. It was insane.
I think there was a stat Dan Brock gave. I couldn't remember if he gave it to the announcers and that's how it was relayed, or if he gave it. But like Bonnie's the first team to 65 against them. If the Bonnies get 65 first or you get 65 first, that generally tells you who wins. Neither team got to that mark in the game.
I was gonna say what. So what happens when neither of those teams get there?
Well, I tell you what, if the
In this
Bonnies,
case, the Duquesne wins. So
if the Bonnies hold you to under 65, I think they were probably undefeated going into that game at that mark, and no longer. So that was, man, that was a great win.
and just the turnover thing, I saw 35-10 points off turnovers in that game in favor of the Duke. So over half of our points scored were off of turnovers. It was a clinic. I mean, just it felt like there was a stretch in that game where it just felt like every time we were on defense, we were just going to get the ball in some sort of fashion defensively.
Oh man.
Did anyone stand out to you in particular in that game? Because I have a person I think was the player of the game.
Um, Trying to think from the bigs, no. From the guys off the bench, I thought Quincy McGriff. I keep calling him Trey McGriff, but I think Quincy McGriff.
We have a lot of trays. It's okay.
Yeah, I think Quincy provided it. He may not have been the player of the game, but his addition over this span of 4 games has really provided the most to me on what this team can be, because his depth is just so great that we don't have to worry about foul trouble as much if a guard gets in foul trouble now. Which beforehand, I mean, earlier on in the season, we were desperate enough to have Rozier and Brewer, and they still do that occasionally, but it's not necessary anymore where we need both of those guys out there if Trey or Day Day ever needs a sub.
Yeah, no, McGriff has definitely provided a big bounce off the bench at the guard position because we were slightly slightly weak at that position. We trust Rozier obviously, but with his physical limitations just at height, and
Yeah,
him and
with
Brewer
a wing
together.
you want more height, and we didn't necessarily have that.
Right. So
Even Day Day isn't necessarily bringing a lot of height at the wing spot.
neither is Trey Clark. I mean, I think they're both 6'3". So I mean,
Yeah.
our guards aren't huge, but I'm actually I don't know if I threw you off guard by asking you that, but Rozier shot 4 or 5 from the field. He had 11 points. He was behind.
Oh, are you talking about the Bonnies game?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought you were talking about St. Joe's. That was where the mix-up was. Yes, Bonnie's game, 100%. Rozier was the best player of the game.
Okay.
I was thinking of tonight, and I'm like, everybody played good, but I don't remember one like sticking out tonight. I don't know what you saw.
Dang, I thought we were in a nice groove, and now our podcast organization skills is totally off. We were talking about 2 different games.
Yep.
But no, yeah, I was talking about the Bonnies.
Yeah, no, Rozier.
Because like I said, no one shot well offensively
Yeah.
in that game.
Day Day did hit a few clutch, difficult shots in that game, including that
He did, yeah.
ridiculous layup where he just goes under and just tosses it up. And you always want to say, like, that's terrible. You should need to go higher. But hey, in that situation, whatever works, man.
Yeah. And I think I say Rozier specifically because he's one of the few players who shot well, but defensively,
yeah,
he was slapping the floor.
Out.
He was slapping the floor. Really provided a great spark off the bench.
Yeah, and he had the steal and one that really, really lit everybody up. The crowd, the players, everybody. And realistically, he got fouled twice on that play because both guys hit him when he was putting the layup up.
That's not how fouls work.
No.
You don't get double the free throws for that. Yeah, sorry. Sorry for the confusion, but that's he stuck out to me, and I thought he was the best player on the court for that game.
And I mean, we've been giving him his flowers. The announcers during the game have been giving him flowers. Trey Williams defensively has just been locked down, really down low. Venning had 12 points in the first half, had 2 points in the second half. And when Dambrot was asked about it, or actually I think the players were asked about it afterwards on like how they adjusted, and we said, Trey, you got him, and he shut him down.
Yeah, the team as a whole, they played super well defensively, just rattling off some guys. Joe Reese, 3 steals. Trey Clark, 4 steals. Day Day Grant, 4 steals. Rozier, 2 steals. Like, everyone had multiple steals in this game. Like everyone.
I think I heard a stat going into tonight. Duquesne had the second best defense in conference play according to Ken Palm.
That's correct. I have that pulled up. Second best defensive efficiency.
Yeah, that feels right with this stretch of games.
And it feels good to know. I said this to Emily while I was watching the game. I was like, feels good when they say stats that I already know because I looked them up and I said them on the podcast already, and I don't need them to tell me that.
Yeah,
that type of stuff. So yeah, I already knew that, but I know, and I shocked you last week that they were third. So
yep.
now they went up a spot,
and who knows where maybe they're first after tonight. Probably not. But no, I think is Fordham first in Ken Palm defense.
Oh, I can pull it up real quick. I would guess VCU off the top of my head.
That makes sense. Although VCU, I didn't check to see what their score ended up, but they were losing to Rhode Island earlier.
Yes, it is VCU. It goes VCU, Duquesne, then Fordham. So you were close. You had the third place team there.
Let's see. For men's basketball, go to Atlantic 10. VCU came back and beat Rhode Island 55-54. Another also a low scoring game. So they're
55-54.
Yeah, so they're sticking with that first place defensive ranking. That's fine. When we were up 50-35 in this game, and I actually said, wow, you know what? I feel great about our chances of winning just because we already have 50 and we might hold them to less than 50 if we really needed to.
To be clear, the St. Joe's game.
Yes, the St. Joe's game. I don't think
no,
we ever had that big of a lead against the Bonnies.
No, I know. That's how I knew. That's how I was so confident.
Yeah, and then LaSalle beat Richmond. So LaSalle's win streak. You scoffed at me about saying LaSalle was getting hot. They're now on a 5-game win streak, Alec. 5-game win streak in conference play.
Good for LaSalle, I guess. We play them soon. I think next week maybe.
Yeah, I think we play them after the St. Louis game.
Yes. Yeah. February 22nd, I believe. Yep.
Yeah. And then Davidson St. Louis still 0-0 after a minute of play. So a lot of insight into that one for us right now. George Mason won the Battle of the Georges tonight. George Washington, I think they had an offensive explosion the game after we beat them down, and then I think that went to double overtime, and the fact that they only have like 7 guys that can play, I think that's finally catching up to them. So
yeah, yep.
Anything?
Are we done with the Bonnies? You want to move on to more specifically St. Joe's?
Oh, I mean, it was a war, it was a defensive battle, and we won when we were not expected to win defensive battles. I feel like if you told Bonnie's fans that we'd be playing a game against them and neither team would score 65 points, they'd 100% think they won.
Yeah. No, I thought the same thing. There's not too much else to add on. I mean, it like I said to start off, it was a different. Duquesne hasn't had a win like that where we struggled so much offensively and come out with a W. And to just be neck and neck defensively with a team like that showed a lot of progress that this team has made over the last few games.
Yeah, and Rozier talked about it in the post-game presser. The guys are having fun playing defense now. Like they look forward to playing defense.
I love hearing that.
It shows with the steals. Like, what's more fun than stealing the ball and going sprinting the other way? And they do it a lot. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. And the pressure they're able to force, whether it's full court pressure or in the half court, where they just cause those turnovers. It's not just poor mistakes by the other team. They are in your face going after the ball.
And it's not just Trey Clark is the leader of our defense in that capacity, but it's not just him now over the last few games.
No, I mean, I think we're probably second in conference in steals as a team at this point too, without looking at the stats.
I feel safe to say.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much everything for the Bonnies. St. Joe's. It was kind of similar to who was the game before the Bonnies? George Mason,
Yeah.
where it was just kind of a constant build. There was never any real big downturn when it came to a run by St. Joe's tonight. They had a few threes that they made, and then we usually answered those threes actually. So it wasn't bad. McGriff and Trey Clark both had some amazing passes in this one. Um, yeah, no, it was just it's so hard to talk about games where we play so well because you don't want to just completely just blabber on about how great everybody was, but that's kind of how I feel after this one.
Yeah, I mean, these were the two, like the first time these two teams met. These are the two best 3-point shooting teams in the A10. Um, so St. Joe's shooting 22% in this game from three helped big. We weren't really giving them open looks.
No.
So that was good by Duquesne's defense. Duquesne shot 50% from the field in this game, 36% from three, hitting 9 3-pointers total.
Which honestly, shooting less than our average and still winning by this much, that feels great from an offensive standpoint because it shows that we're passing the ball. We're more comfortable shooting twos, which was a huge weakness early on in the season. And when I really felt confident with our 2-point shooting was the first shot we got in the second half. Day goes off the screen, and instead of just chucking up the three, takes an extra step in and hits the wide open two. And that from there, I felt like it didn't matter how they defended us, we were going to find an open look.
I know in the NBA the last few years, like that Daryl Morey's philosophy where mid rangers are like totally out of basketball. I never believed that was true. The shot that you just described, I think, is a really good shot, especially for a guy like Day who's such a good jump shooter. So yeah, I really like that when he takes those types of shots. And a guy that stood out to me in this game, and he played really well against George Mason as well, was Tevin Brewer.
Yeah.
Shot 6 of 9 from the field, 3 of 5 from three, but he was looking for a shot more. You can just see that in his play where earlier in the A10 games, he was kind of lost with his shot out there. It never affected him running the offense, which I commend or kudos to Brewer for doing that. But now he's looking for his own shot now, and he would go to the baseline, shoot a mid ranger. If a guy goes under a screen that's defending him at the top of the key, he's going to shoot that three in your face. I like the confidence that Brewer is getting back.
Yeah, and in the second half in particular, I remember the one where Tim Benz called it out, said he thought about taking a three earlier in the possession, dribbled it out, and then nailed one right in the guy's face on the right side of the arc, kind of right in front of Coach Dambrot, really. So that was a nice spot to show like he really is feeling confident in finding a shot. And I think that was in response to a three made by St. Joe's on the other end. So that was just another example of, yeah, we bounced back anytime they made any sort of good play. Trey Williams drew quite a few fouls offensively tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Actually, I deleted the notes from last week's show tonight as I was making more notes, and I almost kept the exact same notes of Day Grant is back and Prime Tevin Brewer is fun to see. Day is back even without shooting well tonight. He didn't shoot well percentage-wise, but he still is just a focal point on both sides of the floor now, where you have to know where he is. So
no, I felt the same way, especially in the first half. He was commanding the offense. He wasn't necessarily getting all the, like, it doesn't show in the assist numbers. He had 1 assist in this game, but operating the pick and roll really smartly. Not just looking for a shot. Like he shot 10, he was 3 of 10 from the field today, but he hasn't been shooting those. I said it last week. Yeah, bad shots, but also just not too many either. So he's finding that right balance. And Trey Clark was the assist man tonight. I mean, he had 9 assists in this game. Unfortunately, he had 4 turnovers as well. I think he was feeling himself a little bit passing the ball, but either way, 9 assists is 9 assists.
Yeah, and I mean, Coach Dambrot just gave him some crazy looks tonight, as he
Yeah.
does basically every night. But yeah, that's what you get with him. He's a human highlight reel, as he did close out the first half with that absurd steal toss play to McGriff, who finished it off with a dunk just in time. Which, I mean, I was a little terrified that he was going all the way for the dunk.
Yeah, 2 seconds is longer than you think when you're watching, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Yeah, he did a 180 in the air, like
Yeah.
when he was going out of bounds.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
as if he was ready to do a tomahawk dunk at the end. He thought the basket was right there. It's fine.
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, human highlight reel. Let's see. The only defensive issue I saw was we got eaten up a little bit by the St. Joe's point guard driving on us. There was a period of time where it didn't matter whether it was Rozier or Brewer guarding him. He drove and drew fouls. I think it was just like a 5-minute spurt, really, where he was
Mhm.
able to get that pretty consistently. So I don't know how we adjusted to stop that, or if they just went away from it because of the deficit. But that was the only point that I got a little nervous about, because I mean our point guards are smaller, so that might be something that we gotta just deal with as a weakness on the team.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been the thing, especially with Brewer all season long. He tends to go under the pick and roll if there's a pick, and then he either gets beat or outmuscled in that drive, and then pretty much it's Trey Williams or Joe Reese trying to pick up the scraps when they get to the hole. So with how well Trey Williams has been playing defending the rim, um, it's pretty good solution. It's kind of the same thing the Sixers do with Joel Embiid. Like Harden will get blown by, but we have one of the best defenders to clean up that mess. So that might be the answer. But Rozier, I like he combats that with his aggression, just so much in your face to try and make up for that size deficit.
Yeah. I will say this, since we mentioned Reese getting those issues down low with guys driving at him. With my red and blue tinted goggles on, the charge call that he got called, I felt like the big started sliding a little to make sure he got the contact in the
In the
first
first half. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the fourth foul that he called against him, where he was really like straight up under the hoop and the guy ran into him and they still called a foul. Like, that was a little tough.
Yeah, I kind of agreed with you with the charge call. Like I I just don't like in college basketball that's just a form of defense. Now it's like you don't
Well,
even contest a shot.
the ref saw that Joe Reese couldn't stop himself, so they basically gave an offensive foul. But realistically, he moved to the side to avoid contact. The defender slid to make sure the contact was there. That's a block. Like, by definition, that's a block. But they don't want to reward an offensive player who's slightly out of control. So that's what that was.
I think a lot of that had to do with he dribbled the ball up in that instance.
Yeah.
He took was that off a steal or a rebound? Like
I
either
thought
way,
it was a steal, but
I think it was too. But yeah, I think that had to do with it. He's like, okay, this big man dribbled all the way up here. He's out. He's definitely out of control. Like he could have been the most under control big man, and I think he still would have got that charge call just because of dribbling it all the way up the court.
Yeah. Let's see. I already gave my hot take that if we're only taking it one game at a time, but Dukes have a chance of winning this out, like this whole season out. If they do, they're a 3 seed at worst.
I like your confidence. I mean, I'm like I was with the. You said it was going to be a war with the Bonnies, but you also said you felt great. You said you felt great against that game.
We had
That
our
showed.
worst offensive showing of the season, and we still won.
Yes, but it almost went to overtime. It was 0.1 second away from going to overtime.
I will say we need to be able to make free throws, especially with Tevin Brewer getting 2 and missing both. That just can't happen. Like,
No,
our
he's
guard,
too good of a shooter. Yeah.
yeah. And then that turnover by Trey Clark, Dambrot again referenced that in the post game presser, where it's just like, he makes some of the best plays I've ever seen and the most boneheaded ones. That was 100%. We had 3 timeouts at that point. Like, somebody's got to call a timeout.
Yeah. You're referencing the St. Bonnie's where he passed it passed it out when he got a rebound.
Yeah.
Yes.
When he got like triple teamed under the hoop and he just panicked and
yes. Yep.
Yep. That would be the one.
I mean, I feel as confident as I could be going into St. Louis. Like before, when we knew this 3-game home stretch was going to be really important, I feel way better than I did when I was talking about
Yeah,
St. Louis then, because I chalked up St. Louis as a loss in my head, but now I feel like we have a solid chance of actually getting a win there.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be as much of a battle or a war as the Bonnies game was. I think it'll be more of a pure basketball game. I think the offenses will be flowing a little, at least on our end. I really think our defense is gonna put up a challenge for them. I think we win that game.
I've KenPom up. What do you think KenPom has percentage wise on giving us to win that game?
Probably like 48, 47.
Nope.
Really?
Way lower. 37% chance to win against St. Louis.
I mean, whatever that spread is that KenPom would give, I would take that all day.
Okay.
I mean, if it's 37%, that's probably like what, a 10 point
no, that's
swing?
what's interesting. So KenPom does have a predicted score line. 76-73 is the predicted score line. But
3-point game, but 30 point percentage difference in statistical.
I think KenPom is predicting that there's foul shots at the end of the game to make it closer.
Yeah, it's
something
fine.
like that. I'm just saying. I'm just giving a listener some context on what we could expect.
Yeah.
What someone else expects, I guess.
I just want to give the women's team some love because they were having some struggles, and tonight they set a program record with 23 pointers made against the Bonnies tonight. Just shooting lights out. I think the final score was a 27-point win with us emptying the bench relatively early on in the fourth quarter. So yeah, it was a dominant win. They needed it. The shooting struggles were very much a thing for us for the past few games, and that's really, it seems so simple, but it really is. Like, we either seem to shoot like 50% from the field or 30 some percent, and it's very clear on which nights we win and which ones we don't.
Yeah, when 23s, you said, holy crap. The men haven't had a game like that.
No, it was a team display. I think I know one of the bench players who's been battling injuries for a while made the 20th three in the game, and that was where they all got to really celebrate on the bench. I don't know if they were celebrating just because she made it or if they knew that it was the 20th three made. It might have been both.
Probably both. Let's go with both.
Yeah. Awareness is there with that team. Gotta give them credit. And Maya Hamilton, who is she's the Ben Simmons-esque guard forward who I wanted to drive to the hoop nonstop. She led the team in points and shot 4 of 6 from 3. So much better than Ben Simmons. Much better.
Ben Simmons wouldn't even attempt 6, like 1-3, let alone make them. Yeah.
Yeah. Tess Myers, our all-star shooter, 5 of 9 from the field. Guess how many of those 9 shots were from 3?
All of them.
All of them is correct. 5 of 9 from the field, all of them from 3. Meg McConnell, 2 of 4 from 3. Niall Bernard, who has been starting most of the season, came off the bench. 6 of 9 from the field, 6 of 8 from 3. So took one shot from inside the 30. Riley Sunday, every bench player shot a 3. There was our starting center did not make a 3, and then 2 of our guards did not make a 3. So we went 20 of 33 from 3-point line, shooting a 60.6%.
That those sound like made up numbers, honestly. Like I can't believe that. That's that's a great game. Wow.
And to show dominance on both sides, the Bonnies shot 36.5% from the field. So we dominated offensively and we dominated defensively.
It's good to see.
The women's team has dropped a little bit. They're now 6-7 in conference play, so the chance of a double bye is gone realistically. But they can still host a first round Atlantic 10 tournament game because the women's game has the first round. If we don't get the bye, single bye, there's a first round that they play at their home gyms for the better seeds, and then they go to the A10 tournament in Delaware. So if for some reason we don't get a bye, hopefully we do well at home, and then you can still see them in Delaware.
Yeah, I didn't. That kind of put a damper on things, but they're going to win, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're not gonna deal with that home game anyways. They're gonna win enough games to avoid that first round.
No
but
doubt.
just in case they do, they'll shoot 60% from three, and we'll be great.
Right. Yeah. They can do. Yeah. Do well. They'll just. This is their new average, 60% from three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll shoot 50. We'll give them some regression. It's fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to watch that. It needs to be 60. It needs to be 60. I'm sorry.
Imagine if they actually did shoot 50% from three for the rest of the season. I mean, they'd have to win out at that point, right? You'd think.
It would be embarrassing if they didn't.
That would be unreal. Yeah, but from the women's side as a whole, I mean, the starters, I've raved about them. Meg McConnell is a do-it-all player. Tess Myers, best shooter in the A10, best shooter in women's basketball, in my opinion. I mean, Meg McConnell leads the team in rebounds with 9.6 as a point guard, 5.3 assists, and 2.4 steals per game. That's absurd. Those are absurd numbers.
I love that. I love that so much.
And Yanni Townsend, who's now our starting center, she was fighting injury for a while. She's our third highest scorer. She realistically could be putting up 15 to 20 points a night if she was healthy all season and became the focal point that I think they wanted her to be. Yeah, and basically, again, like I learned this 2 weeks ago, that basically all these players are returning next year. I thought there was like 3 of them that were going to be graduating, moving on, just like the men's team, and I'm just so happy now for next year.
The eligibility rules just have you in a pretzel.
I thought we'd be beyond the COVID confusion, but you know what? It just keeps coming back up for me.
Hey, these are pleasant surprises. So
they are.
That's good.
I'm never going to complain about these surprises.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that we need to touch on.
I don't have a big preview for St. Louis. I'd kind of just do the previews to see if there's anything really
standing out about the team.
Yeah, and there's really only one stat that sticks out to me. St. Louis does not force turnovers when they're on defense. They're ranked 350th on defense in turnover percentage, so forcing turnovers, and 351st in the country at steal percentage on defense. So,
all right, so I'll actually be able to talk a decent bit about some of these guys from actually watching them play. Jimerson is without a doubt their 3-point shooting guard. He's also the white guard, so he's just very stereotypical in that sense. The white guy who just shoots like no other.
I was going to say Jimmer Fredette and
yeah.
Jimerson. I just couldn't not think of Jimmer Fredette when you said that.
Yuri Collins is probably going to, if he doesn't already hold the A10 record, I think he does. He definitely holds it now for assists in a career.
It's funny you said that. I have KenPom up, and they have like a little thing about the players. He is first in the country in assist rate.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. He's been doing that since his freshman year. And he's got averaging 1.3 steals a game as well. So even though the team doesn't steal the ball much, he at least gets 1 or 2 a game. Okoro is their big. I think he was a transfer. I'm trying to remember where he transferred from. Let me see if I can. Oregon. Yeah, he went to Oregon first. He's a St. Louis native. Came back to St. Louis. He's their dominant big when it comes to
He's
rebounding and blocks.
he's eighth in the country in offensive rebound percentage. So
yeah. So him and Rotrop going at it will be quite the sight.
yeah,
And I'm trying to think. Perkins, interestingly, he scored a lot last year and 2 years ago. This year, he kind of dropped off. And then when Yuri Collins was out with an injury, he picked right back up. So there's a rumor that maybe St. Louis is better without their all-star point guard who leads the nation in assists. Who knows? Yeah, I'm trying to. Outside of that, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how we handle the road environment. St. Louis is going to be loud. It's a big game for both teams. It'll be a Saturday night, 8 o'clock game, so got to stay up late for that one. I will be at the women's game earlier that day, so it's actually nice that it's an 8 p.m. start. I'll be able to watch both.
there you go.
Yeah, and
Yeah, hopefully. So we're recording Wednesday. St. Louis plays, I think, at 9 tonight
yeah, they're playing right now
against Davidson.
It's very early on in the process. Let me see. Updated score 18-14. So Davidson has really struggled this year. They might actually be the biggest disappointment of the A10 conference this year. As much as Fordham and Duquesne has been a pleasant surprise, Davidson and Loyola Chicago, I think, are the two biggest disappointments this year.
Yeah, Loyola Chicago. Like, I was excited when they were going to be joining the A10. Now it's only been one season, but not a great start.
They've been coming around lately. They did beat UMass last night in the game with the two worst teams in the conference, according to record. So, and UMass was one where they didn't have high expectations coming into this season, but then coming out of non-conference play, they were like the team that it was us and them as like the two hottest teams in the A10. And then I don't know what happened. They beat us. They look good against us. I don't know.
Yep, real good.
They've fallen off since then. So, hopefully they keep falling down, and we can take advantage of it because we play them right before Fordham to end the season.
But yeah, if St. Louis loses tonight, then we'd be tied with them going into that game.
Everybody's saying like tonight, this game is huge for the conference standings. I'm expecting them to win, and I don't think that'll affect how it goes because they play us and VCU. If they lose both of those games, I don't think Fordham and Duquesne loses more than one game for the rest of the season. So
you think we're only going to lose one more game the rest of the season?
No. I think Fordham's going to lose one more game the rest of the season. I think we're winning out. I think we're going.
I think we're winning out.
I think we're going to be the hottest team in the A10 going into the tournament.
We have 3 away games left: St. Louis, LaSalle right after that,
and Fordham.
And then Fordham to end. And you think we're winning every single one of those?
Listen, Alec, I've been on this high. I've been riding the highs as high as can be.
You can't ride them any higher, not losing.
This is the peak of the season right now. Of course, I'm thinking we're going to go undefeated the rest of the way.
Look, we're playing the best basketball that we have all season long, so I don't, I feel good as well. That would be what, like 8 or 9 wins in a row.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I feel that good, but we don't need to go undefeated to
get a double bye. No.
Right. So
if we lose one game the rest of the way, we'll be good.
I think we should win both our games at home. That's against Davidson, against UMass. I think a 1-1 these next 2 games away from home would be a win, and then it's going to be another dogfight to finish the season at Fordham.
See,
I like that.
That's what A10 Twitter is a buzz with the Mega Bowl of who's going to get 4th place between Fordham and Duquesne. And my thought is that's going to be a game for 3rd place. Loser will get 4th.
4th is for losers. That's going to be for 3rd.
Yeah.
I like the confidence. I like the confidence.
So, yeah, it's gonna be it's a light episode this week. I say that it's probably been like 40 minutes where we've just babbled on, but hey, speed it up when you listen, guys. That's what I do with my podcasts. It goes by a
Yeah,
lot.
because no, don't do that. You're psychotic if you do that.
Hey, it's how I can handle my own voice too. I don't know if you can handle listening to us at normal speed, but I actually have to speed it up to like tolerate hearing my own voice this much.
um, no, I don't. I don't. That doesn't mean I like my voice, but
You just can't speed it
I
up.
just can't do it. I can't do it. I
All
can't pull the trigger.
right. Yeah. Anything else that you wanted to touch on from the Dukes?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, there's like you said, it's weird that there's less to talk about when we play really well, but I mean, we're playing well on offense and on defense, whereas before when we played well, there was a clear lack of a defensive identity and the offensive rebounding, or letting up offensive rebounding. So um we're playing the best basketball of the season. I think that's how what we should take away from this. We're playing the best basketball over the last 3 to 4 games.
Yeah, and I mean we've said it. I said it 2 or 3 weeks ago. Really, all that matters for postseason play is the A10 tournament at this point. For the NCAA tourney, realistically, we have a chance to make the NIT if we keep winning games, which I didn't think was a possibility a few weeks ago.
Yep.
So there's, I guess, more to play for, but at the same time, the only thing everybody really cares about is winning that A10 tourney. So let's keep taking it one game at a time, and hopefully we'll be in better position to win the whole damn thing.
I think you got to listen to yourself one game at a time. You're predicting a undefeated finish.
I understand it's a hypocritical take every once in a while, but the team needs to focus one game at a time. Fans,
Okay. Fans
we
can do
get
whatever they
excited.
want. Okay, I think there's one last thing we need to talk about.
All right.
The Super Bowl.
Oh, I didn't think we were going to talk about this because of the result.
I'm fine with talking about it.
All right.
Because we did as soon as we hung up the recording our last episode, we had plans to preview the Super Bowl. So
Yep.
we forgot to do that, obviously. So we can not recap it, but I don't know if people want to hear misery, they can if they enjoy that.
How do you feel about the conspiracy theories out there?
I don't hate them.
Don't hate them. Looking for anything I can right now.
And to be clear, the conspiracy theories are that essentially Kansas City knew the conditions of the field because of a employee that is a Kansas City fan, the Sod father.
Who worked for Kansas City for many years prior to finally becoming an NFL employee.
And so basically, you heard all game that the Eagles were changing their cleats, can't find their footing. Didn't really hear that from the Kansas City's point of view. So yeah, that's the conspiracy. Basically, they knew that the grass was shit and needed longer cleats, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I like even with Bradbury admitting that it was a hold, I still.
What do you think about that play?
I
Objectively,
I still hate that call, especially like you're literally giving them the game at that point, and
even like
it felt so soft, even like a normal
okay.
call. Is my thought. Like I understand he tugged at the jersey. It wasn't noticeable until you did the super slow mo replay.
I agree. I said live, like, especially when you look at when at least most refs, I would say, you want to see the jersey actually like get stretched.
Yeah.
If it gets stretched, then like, yeah, you're a goner. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. That one jersey didn't get stretched. I really don't think he materially affected him being able to catch it. It wasn't a great ball thrown by Mahomes, but he was trying to get that call. That's why he threw that ball. Yeah, everyone that I've talked to said they don't like that call was made. So, and I'm not I know
many non-Eagle fans.
Yeah, I know a lot of non-Eagles fans out here, so it's not just biased opinions I'm hearing.
Yeah, and I will say this. I do think that was a bad decision to even get close to being called for holding at that point, because it's third down. If you get beat, oh well.
Yeah, in hindsight, yeah.
You can't give up the first down. That's the one thing you couldn't do.
In hindsight, yeah, and when I was watching it live, so a lot of Eagles fans were thinking, including myself, that game had a lot of similarities to the last time we were in the Super Bowl, where defensively it was just both teams weren't doing well defensively. It was a battle of the offenses. And then for Eagles fans, we remember the Brandon Graham strip sack, which is the only good defensive play basically that happened in that game, but it was well timed, and that's all we needed.
That's all you needed, you say, in hindsight? So you could say that the game was won at that point, perhaps?
No, it was definitely not when you have Tom Brady going down the field with 2 minutes. I think it was like 3 minutes left in the game.
I think you could understand somebody saying that that's it, the game's over at that point. An innocent bystander who's just watching the game with his friends.
No.
I would say that person definitely wouldn't need to get banished to the stairwell for the rest of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so Frost was trying to jinx the Eagles from winning Super Bowl 52.
It was an honest reaction.
It was absolutely clear as day that you were trying to do that as a
Steelers
fan. As a Steelers fan, you didn't want the other side of the state to taste the Super Bowl.
Why would a Steelers fan
clear.
want the Patriots to win the Super Bowl? That is the flaw in your thought process there.
I don't know why you hate Philadelphia more than the Patriots. It's wild. I couldn't believe it myself. I thought we were friends at that moment, but you showed your colors, your true colors. But in all seriousness, yeah, that game was difficult because I wish it would have ended in a way that was more concrete than the way it did, where we can see Jalen Hurts go down the field, win it or lose it, tie it, do whatever.
Yeah,
it just feels like
he was going to have a minute left. That would have been enough time to say, like, okay, you could easily not get it. You could also just pull easily, especially for a field goal. That was definitely enough time to get down the field for.
And I'm not gonna. I won't forget to mention, like, the Eagles' defense in the second half was atrocious. The
secondary,
the secondary, but specifically John Gannon for getting beat on the same play in the end zone twice. Like, not even making some small adjustment, and getting burnt, like as burnt as you can get twice, is like unacceptable from a coaching standpoint.
I mean, ironically, Juju's route that drew the holding foul was also a similar route to those two. So, like, yeah, they just could not deal with the in then out motion for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and be like Kansas City didn't deserve to win. They played well enough to win. They obviously won, but I'm just saying, I feel like the Eagles played well enough to win, and they were leading. Like that's the toughest part, is that over the past 6 months, I've seen the Union lose an MLS championship. They were leading, got tied, went into overtime, lost on PKs. I care about the Union. I know a lot of people don't care about the MLS. I watched all those playoff games and towards the end of the season, so that hurt. We were up 2-1 in the World Series against the Astros.
Man, that third game of the World Series was so special that it just felt like more than one win too.
And I won so much money on that. That was like where all the bombs were hit.
Yep.
But and then this one, we were up by 10 points going into half, or coming out of half, and yeah, it hurts a lot. So yeah, I felt like we can give the listeners my misery to revel in.
What I'm hearing is you need to jump off the Duquesne bandwagon if we make it to the A10 championship game. That's what I'm hearing.
I should probably not watch.
You should start become a diehard fan for the opposing team immediately going into that game.
I shouldn't watch, and I should bet on Duke. No, I should bet on the other team to cover or win, and
Yeah.
then Duquesne will win because
Yep.
that's what's happened to me.
Foolproof plan.
Good thing I don't care about the Sixers, and I don't think they're actually going to win anything.
Oh, see, I'm now convinced that they're gonna make it to the finals just because of this streak that you guys.
I hope so. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, hold on. Would you hope to make it to the finals and then lose again if that was?
Yeah, someone posed that question to me earlier. I think it was before like the Eagles were in the Super Bowl. He's like, would you rather go into every single championship and lose, or just not go at all?
You guys are experiencing the Bills' 4-year streak in 1 year. It's incredible.
I had that same thought to myself. I'm like, how did the Bills feel this way every year for 4 years straight?
You guys get to experience it all in 1 year. It's great. It's a nice condensed version. You don't have to worry about it next year.
The Super Bowl is a little bit different compared to like it. I care about MLS. And I cared about the World Series. We didn't. I mean, the fact that we got to the World Series was like Philadelphia was already popping. Like,
well, yeah,
that was a win basically.
You guys barely made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, so this Super Bowl loss felt way worse. Still feels worse. I'm still not over it.
Well, I mean, football is king in America, so it makes sense.
But yeah, enough about Philly sports. I just thought, we have a fan on, so might as well talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, seriously, if the Duquesne makes the A10 championship,
I won't watch.
We gotta think of something for you. No, I don't think watching's the issue. I think we really do have to make you put like a heavy bet on the other team and to like put you in their gear and just like really make you as much of a fan of their team as possible.
I'll buy whatever team we're playing hat and like put $30 on them to win.
Yeah,
or cover.
We got to think of something to counteract this Philly juju that we got going on.
I got the stank.
Oh, you're not the only one. I mean, if you think of the people that go to Duquesne, we got Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philly, and the DMC area, DMV area. Sorry.
Yeah.
Coach Dan Campbell in my head. Yeah, but we'll figure it out. We'll get there, and then we'll figure it out.
Let's get there. Yep.
After that's the plan. That'll be what? At that point, it would be 9, 10, 11. So that we'd be going for win number 12 in a row at that point, in my mind. So,
but one game at a time.
One game at a time. One game at a time. And with that, folks, we'll see you next week. Hopefully, with some more wins to talk about.
Go Dukes.
The Dukes are back, and now it's time to rise up.